All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Mastery webinar, which is part of the Optimism Code, and it's called Peace Starts in the Body. And before I even start yapping on and talking and getting all up in my head, I just invite everyone to just become aware of their body right now, how it feels sitting in the chair that you're in, and if there's any aches or pains, and if there's any nerves or sort of symptoms that you or signals from the body that you can notice. Because I find that especially in a job like ours, which is so much up in the head, so much mental energy, that what ends up happening is that we can really depart from the body and abandon the body. And today's webinar is really about the wisdom of the body and how by cultivating a really healthy, close relationship with our bodies, that we can cultivate more peace. And from that place of peace in our bodies, then really we can activate the optimism code. We can cultivate more fun in our lives, more fun things planned in our futures, more safe relationships, all of that. But I believe we cannot do that if we don't have a close relationship with our bodies, if we dismiss the information coming from our bodies. All right, so this webinar is really a lot to do with the faith in the goodness of life component of the Optimism Code. And that is the pathway to heal the vulnerability to harm or illness schema. That schema that has us worried about getting sick, worried about getting a disease or illness, panicking at the first sign of some kind of illness or sickness, and also overly focused on catastrophe and things, some kind of natural disaster, that type of thing. So yeah, well, I mean, I could do a whole webinar on that schema itself, and it's very interesting to learn about the origins of the vulnerability to harm or illness schema. And I'm sure you can imagine that a lot of it has to do with actual trauma in the past, including war, including poverty, including abuse, all of those things, not just in our own personal history, but our family lineage can activate that schema, vulnerability to harm or illness. Even if we had nothing terrible happen in our own childhoods, if our parents have unhealed trauma or wounds, experiences with poverty or war, that can get passed down to future generations, either through just direct messages about life being unsafe and watch out, but I also believe epigenetically through our genes, we communicate information through our genes down to the next generations. It's sort of coded in the genes, if you like. It's like, watch out for men, or watch out for people from Japan, or, these messages that have got to do with past unhealed trauma in someone else's history. So it's really important to understand that when we're talking about faith in the goodness of life, we're talking about healing the vulnerability to harm or illness schema. Okay, and that results in us having a sense of inner peace and connection with our body. All right, let's get started with a beautiful quote by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who has written my absolute favorite book in the whole world, which is Women Who Run with the Wolves. Amazing book. Is hard to wrap your head around because she's very highly intelligent, but she's a trained Jungian therapist. But she talks a lot about Native American stories and the healing wisdom in stories. She's amazing. Anyway, this is her quote that I want to start today with. She says, "Suppose the body is a god in its own right, a teacher, a mentor, a certified guide. Are we strong enough to refute the party line and listen deep, listen true to the body as a powerful and holy being? And that is so powerful because many of us, just see the body as, just something, that sort of carries us through life, et cetera, et cetera. It's very functional and all of that. But what if the body is our connection to our spirituality, to life itself? Like, what if the body is the wisdom that we're needing to hear guidance from? And are we willing to listen to it? Is really her question. All right, so let's talk about faith in the goodness of life as one of the components of optimism. And firstly, I just love the wording of this component, faith in the goodness of life. How does it feel in your body when we say that? Like, I myself notice, you can feel this tingling, or the cells in your body kind of resonate with that, and it activates certain thoughts or beliefs in your own mind, which is like, yeah, there's a goodness about life. There's a very good, very wholesome, very innocent, very life-giving element to life that sometimes we overlook when we have a lot of stress and anxiety going on in our lives. Okay, so hopefully language itself is a tool that we can use to bring us back to some of the coding that we're wanting to activate. All right, so this code relates to how much faith we have that life is sort of flowing along in a mostly positive, mostly growth-based direction. Yeah, that it's sort of life is on our side. And since we are also a part of nature, that we can also trust that our own body is also a part of the natural flow of life. So our body is our friend in the same way that nature is our friend. And it's nourishing and it wants us to grow and to heal. All right, so let's talk about the origins of, where does this faith in the goodness of life come from? So I believe that faith in our body's wisdom obviously starts in childhood. So think back for a moment to messages that you might have gotten about the body from your cultural editors, such as parents, caregivers, grandparents, teachers, coaches throughout your life. So, for example, what messages did you get when you were hungry? I feel hungry. No, you don't. You just ate. Can you see there is a clash between the child communicating a feeling, an urge in their body, and the message from the outside world, which is sort of dismissing that or contradicting that, telling us that we're not hungry, or we cannot be hungry, or surely we're not hungry. Or what about messages that you might have got when you're tired? I feel tired. Well, that's too bad because there's still X, Y, and Z to be done. Or when you feel irritated, or bored or agitated, like, oh, I'm annoyed. And then the message might be, well, you shouldn't be annoyed because we spent a lot of money on this amusement park ticket. And these are normal messages that we get in childhood, and then that I give my kids as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, this happens in all families all of the time. Our culture is sort of designed to do this, to override signals from the body. But I'm just inviting you to think about these messages and how they're kind of at odds with what the child is actually feeling and sensing in their bodies versus the message coming from the outside world. And also think about with regards to our emotions, because our emotions are also felt in the body. If we feel sad, sometimes we might put our hand on our heart and we can feel our heart feeling heavy. Or if we're anxious, we can in our tummy. Our emotions are not just a mental activity, they're a full body experience. Okay, so think about messages that you might have gotten about the accuracy of your emotions in the felt sense of the word. So if you, for example, as a child said, I feel sad, because my teacher is leaving the school. I feel so sad. And if the message is don't be sad, this sort of opposite message of cheer up, don't be sad, then that's confusing. It's confusing the very real signals coming from the body about what is true for us in that moment. Because the truth is, well, I still feel sad. I still feel sad, no matter what the reasons are or what the rationale is or the logic or the solutions. None of that matters, because in that moment I feel sad. So this don't be sad, don't be angry, don't be anxious, don't be worried sends a confusing message to us about whether we can trust in what we feel and experience in our bodies. This stuff is so deep, guys. There's so many people in the world that need to heal this connection with their bodies. So the fact that we're here today doing this work is fantastic, because when we re-establish this connection with our own bodies, then we have the tools to guide other people, I believe. So in my own practice, when I've guided clients back to the wisdom of their own bodies, for example, helping them to learn how to trust in their immune system, to find genius ways of taking them towards greater states of health. The idea that your immune system is this brilliant system that goes beyond what our own intellectual minds could come up with. Then I think we start to become a bit more willing to rest in this faith of what we cannot see. That's what faith is this trust in something that we cannot see, I believe. And we're willing to just believe in it, trust in it, even though we don't have any scientific proof or hard evidence that it's actually doing its job. So, the same goes with the immune system. We can't see what the immune system is doing. You either trust that it's doing its best job, or you don't trust it. All right. So once we trust that our immune system is brilliant and it is doing its job, then we need to support it in the best way that we can by giving it enough water, rest and sleep, good food, positive interactions with other people, sunlight, play, and time in nature. So that's our end of the bargain. And then the immune system is like, let me take care of the rest. All right. So the immune system is relying on us to do our part and not flood it all the time with adrenaline and cortisol and stress hormones over a sustained period. So we can start to make friends with our bodies at any time, at any stage in our life, regardless of our current age and health status. So this is going to benefit. So making friends with your body is going to benefit someone who might be, 80 years old and diagnosed recently with a cancer. They're still going to benefit from starting to become friends with their own body, as opposed to turning on the body and punishing the body and starting to say, my body has just let me down, and it's kind of like becomes the enemy. If you see your body as like a person that you're in a relationship with, then imagine if you were talking to a friend like that and saying, you've let me down and I can't trust you. That friend would be like, but I've been here this whole time. And I've been communicating to you and trying to tell you and trying to get you to see these things. And then we turn around and say, oh, well, I hate my body. It's a relationship. Okay. And at any point in our lives, at any age, regardless of our health status, it is of benefit to get on side with our bodies. Okay. And also, just as we go along with the webinar, just take notice of what comes up for you. You know, pay attention to what's being triggered in you, because what's being triggered in you is little signals about where the healing might need to take place. Yeah. All right. So let's just do a process where we check in about how is our relationship to our body. Okay, so some reflection questions that can help with this is, do you trust your body to give you accurate feedback about your emotional needs? So if your body is responding in a way that feels anxious, or it feels angry, or it feels sad and lonely, do you trust that your body and the way that you're registering your emotions is an accurate barometer of your emotional needs? Because if you do trust that the way that you experience your emotions in your body is an accurate barometer, then you're going to be tuning in. The minute you feel something is off, you're going to notice it. And you're going to drop all of your focus, all of your attention down into your body, and not keep your attention up here in your mind, in the mental realm. You're going to go down into your body, and you're like, oh, what's this about? What's this about? And you're going to start communicating with your body. Do you trust your body to give you accurate feedback about the perceived safety of your environment? Okay, so this one is really about if you're registering threat, then that threat is either perceived or real. Okay, so you know, there's systems in our body that cannot differentiate between, is this a perceived threat or is this a real threat? Your body doesn't care. It just wants you to register any kind of threat and throw it all in the same basket and go, you know, red flag, you're not feeling safe. Okay, your amygdala is saying, look out, this is an unsafe situation. And the actual truth of it may be that it's not an unsafe situation. For example, you might have a trigger to being around ladies that are dressed like school principals in all grey and got their hair all coiffed. You might have a trigger to anyone that looks like that because of a past memory. Okay. But your body is giving you some information, some data. Okay, but do you trust your body enough to sort of pay attention to it and then communicate with it and find out, oh, let's explore this a little bit. Let's explore if this is a threat that I need to actually address right now, do something about, or is this a threat based on something that happened in my past? But if you dismiss all of your emotions, then you're not going to be able to get to the bottom of that. Right. Also, another question, do you trust your body to know what is innately good for you and find ways to clear out toxins and adapt to the stresses of life? So when you trust that your body is guiding you towards more health, then you're more likely to listen to it when it has little symptoms. Do you know what I mean? Little complaints. You're like, oh, you know, wonder what my body is trying to clear out here or trying to adapt to or trying to process here. I might pay attention to that. Yeah. Also, do you trust your immune system to always be working in alignment with your growth and health and finding brilliant new solutions to the physical threats that you encounter in life? So this is really important, I believe, you know, faith in our immune systems, that all of our immune systems are on our side. They're on our team. They're not working against us. If we are suffering something physical, it's because the immune system has had to take resources from other parts of the body. It's had to redirect resources to shore up the problem's over here. So it's not that it's against us, it's that it's finding the best solution to keep us well, given the environmental and emotional stressors that we're facing. So important. Okay. All right. So you're probably by now getting a sense that it's really important to resurrect our relationship with our bodies. All right. So how do we do that? Well, we're all about getting to the gist of it and not wasting time in the wellbeing codes. We want to know, just show me, what do I have to do? What are the tools? Okay. So some steps that we might take when resurrecting our relationships with our body are: step one, well, I'm just making up these steps. These are steps that I've followed, if you like, as well as, learning from other people, but, really applying this in my own life. One, we have to be in dialogue with our body, in the same way that we are in dialogue with a friend or anyone that we're in relationship with. And dialogue means two-way conversation. Yeah, a two-way conversation. So to have a dialogue with your body would mean that you have to actually see your body as, as its own living being, like a friend, and start talking with it. Okay, sounds all weird, but think about it. When you start talking to your body, say, hey, how's it going? Tummy, how's it going? Legs, how are you feeling? That immediately directs your attention to that part of the body, and then you can receive the information from that part of the body, because your focus is going there, into that muscle, into that bone, into that system. And you're going to be able to more easily perceive the information coming from there. Okay, so that's step one, be in dialogue with it. Okay, step two, apologize to your body for ignoring it, for dismissing it, for detaching from it. Okay, and this is not meant to be in a really punitive or critical way, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I've been so bad. Not in that sense. It's more of an opening up to a repairing of the relationship with your body. Apologize to it. So I just did this recently with a client, or supervisee. Yeah. I said, okay, right now, just say, I'm sorry, body, that I have ignored you. Yeah. And she did that, and there was this immediate relief, this sort of, it feels like now the shame has sort of gone, and I can be directly in communication with my body. And there's also this sense that, yes, of course, it makes sense. My body is on my side, and I need to apologize for ignoring it. Okay, so that's step two, apologize. Sorry, body, if I've ignored you for all these decades and your wisdom. Okay, then step three, thank your body for its wisdom. Yeah, you've got to appreciate it. Thank you, body, for your wisdom. Thank you for your intelligence. Thank you for providing me with a vehicle through life. This is amazing. Yeah, so you could, really break that down and thank every part of your body. Thank you, feet. Thank you, hands. Thank you, eyes. All of that. Okay, so this thanking the body, this appreciation. So then you're more likely to receive information and gifts from someone that you appreciate and that you are thankful for, than someone that you are against. Like, if you're against someone and they're your enemy, you're not going to take advice from them. You're not going to listen to them when they have something to say. Same goes with the body. Okay. All right. Step four, ask your body to communicate its wisdom directly to you. This is also simple, it seems. Anyway, I love knowing all of this stuff because I love sharing it with my kids. Like if they're like, oh, I want a fifth piece of Nutella toast. My 9-year-old will say, and I'm like, well, can you ask your tummy first? What does your tummy say? So so ask your body to communicate its wisdom directly to you. So what that might sound like is like this. So say, hello gut, what do you need? What do you want me to know and honor? And if you just pause, in that pause, I mean, maybe right now it's kind of difficult for us to do because we're on a webinar where the focus is on learning. But if you do this in your own private time, you just need to pause long enough to see what your gut says back to you. Okay. And then you go around the back to the adrenal glands. Hello, adrenal glands. What do you need from me? What do you want me to know that I've been ignoring? Then shoulders. Yeah. Hello, shoulders. What do I need to know? What have you got to tell me about the burden that I've been carrying through life and the tension that I've been holding? Yeah. Hello, lower back. Hello, skin. Hello, feet. All of that. So you're communicating directly with your body and you're asking it to communicate directly to you. For you to not get distracted and sidelined in your head, for you to directly receive this in a sort of a communication way. All right. And then your heart, with all the emotion, the center of all your emotions. Hello, heart. And you could say, hello, heart. I'm willing to receive your emotions fully. I am willing to trust that the emotions I feel in my heart are an accurate signal for me to take notice of. Emotions that are guiding me away from conditions that are unhealthy for me, and emotions that are guiding me towards conditions that are most healthy for me. Okay, so you see that you then start to have faith that your emotions are also on your side, and that they're just trying to guide you towards the life that would be in your best interest. All right. And then as you become more attuned to your body's wisdom, like this is a practice, this is something that you might do regularly before it becomes more automatic. So as you become more attuned to your body's wisdom, you'll have less doubt in time. You'll have less doubt about what is a false flag versus what is real. And same with your emotions. You'll have less doubt about which emotions are in response to an old wound, an old trigger, and that's just being activated in this current moment with this person, even though 5% is due to their behavior and 95% might be due to an old wound. You'll get better and better at knowing how to read your emotions and whether they are something that is purely just in response to this current situation or something old that also needs to be considered. That's not to say that if it's an old wound, this is my belief in close relationships, that our partners will trigger our old wounds. Okay, so they might innocently say something or they might behave in a bit of a dismissive way. And that triggers painful wounds from childhood when we were a child and maybe dismissed by a parent, which is going to feel a lot more threatening than to an adult, if it's happening for the first time. But what I want you to take from this is just because it might be an old wound doesn't mean that it's a completely private solo job for you to just process your emotions by yourself. Okay, if your partner does things or if your friends do things that trigger old wounds in you, it's still worthy of raising that in the current relationship, because our current relationships can be very healing. Okay, so say for example, with my partner, I might say, you know, when you say it in that way, it feels dismissive to me, or it feels like you don't care. And I know that you don't mean that, and that you do care, and that you're just very busy, but it also brings up something big from my past. So I'm just letting you know the impact that that had on me. Okay, so you can see how if you've processed where it came from, you can, in a more skillful way, you can talk about what your emotional needs are in your current relationships, so that they are just not further triggering and further wounding you. Okay, so yeah, as you go along and you just trust that your emotions, your body is communicating important data to you, you'll become better and better at sort of knowing the finer details using that discernment. Okay, but the first step is a radical acceptance of the wisdom of the body, like that statement by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. You know, this first step is a radical acceptance that your body is like a god in itself. You know, just respect it and honor it and allow it to guide you through life. You know, so you kind of have to go, okay, well, I'm all in. I have to, you know, take notice of every little emotional response, you know, and see if there's a grain of truth in that, you know. So it can be a bit time consuming at first, but eventually you'll find yourself more in the flow of life. All right. Okay, let me talk a bit about time in nature, okay, and how this ties into faith in the goodness of life, and how this will also heal the vulnerability to harm or illness schema. Right, so the reason why time spent in nature activates more faith in the goodness of life is because our own bodies recalibrate to the same rhythm of nature itself. When we're spending time in nature, it's like our body sort of tunes into the same kind of resonance, the same frequency that nature is emitting. Okay, so everything in life has a frequency, like a radio station, if you like, a radio frequency that is emitted. It's like a signal that goes out into the world that transmits information about how it is being. It's like, this is my being, information about it. Yeah. And Earth's natural frequency, it's called the Schumann resonance. You may have heard of it. And it sort of pulsates at a particular frequency, or it's a 7.83 hertz. It's this sort of radio frequency, if I don't have the technical terms. Okay. And the natural frequency of a human standing body is 7.5 hertz. So you can see that spending time in nature, it's like a tuning fork. If you know music, it's like this is the vibration and the tone that's given off by the tuning fork. And then if you hummed, then you would be matching the frequency of that tuning fork, in the same way that spending time in nature has us sort of get in alignment with the same frequency of nature. So, so important. And this explains so much about why we get cabin fever, and why we start to feel stressed and agitated when we spend too much time indoors in front of digital computers, TVs, and not enough time in the natural world. Okay, so it's sort of, spending time in nature takes care of a lot of the stress hormones, and will activate more pleasurable chemicals in the body, like serotonin, dopamine. Okay, so as an embodiment practice, we're going to do this right now, and I'll just turn my video off so that you can just see this lovely image. And I'm going to guide you through this embodiment practice. So I want you to just take a moment And you can close your eyes if you like, or you can look at the ground. And imagine that you are sitting in nature. You could be cross-legged, or you can imagine that you are standing with your feet shoulder width apart, bare feet on the ground. Okay, so now picture that there is a cord coming from the bottom of your spine or your root chakra all the way down into the earth. And as you're doing this, allow yourself to feel the connection that you have with the earth. How you are a part of nature, of life itself. Allow yourself to have the sense that your own body signals are just feedback about your inner and outer environment, in the same way that a decaying leaf is feedback about the quality of the soil and the light and the water for that tree. And notice what thoughts come up for you about trusting in your body as you do this practice. What are the fears that you might have about tuning into the body? Might your body be telling you to stop a certain habit that maybe you've been delaying stopping? Might your body be telling you that you need to create more stability, more security and trust in a close relationship that is feeling unsafe? Or in your relationship with money and financial stability? Might your body be telling you that you are being too hard on yourself and you need to soften and treat yourself in a more nurturing and nourishing way? Or might your body be telling you to relax your muscles and relax your stranglehold on life, to relinquish some control, to stop overthinking things, stop overgiving, and just allow nature and life to take care of things? Okay, so that's just an embodiment practice that you could repeat, you could do again, you could use it with any of your clients that have anxiety and spend too much time up in their heads and in the future and not enough time grounded in their body, paying attention to the very present, immediate information that their body is trying to get them to listen to. Okay. Yes. All right. Lovely. So we just got one more thing. I've got a poem that I would like to share with you that Rachel has done a lovely job of preparing into a little PowerPoint. You might have seen her do that. You might have seen this on the Facebook page, on the group. Let me just share it. Just bear with me, and then I can have this really pretty. It's called Homecoming. It's a poem by Linda Ruther, and it was featured in the book called Discovering the Inner Mother, by Bethany Webster. So she's the Healing the Mother Wound amazing lady who talks about the importance of healing the relationship that we have to our own personal mother, biological mother, so that we can heal our relationship to nature and to life itself. All right, so I will read this out, and I'll just put my video off again so that my face doesn't feature. Okay, so this poem, Homecoming by Linda Ruther. And the great mother said, "Come, my child, and give me all that you are. I am not afraid of your strength and darkness, of your fear and pain. Give me your tears. They will be my rushing rivers and roaring oceans. Give me your rage. It will erupt into my molten volcanoes and rolling thunder. Give me your tired spirit. I will lay it to rest in my soft meadows. Give me your hopes and dreams. I will plant a field of sunflowers and arch rainbows in the sky. You are not too much for me. My arms and heart welcome your true fullness. There is room in my world for all of you and all that you are. I will cradle you in the boughs of my ancient redwoods and the valleys of my gentle rolling hills. My soft winds will sing lullabies and soothe your burdened heart. Release your deep pain. You are not alone, and you never have been alone. And that is a beautiful poem, connecting us back to life, back to earth, back to nature, back to our bodies. So that is the conclusion of this mastery webinar on peace starts in the body. And I hope you got a really good sense of, if you're healing anxiety, if you're working with anxiety, then you must work with the body. Obviously, we must allow ourselves to be guided by, these uncomfortable signals that are coming from the body, and just really honor them. If a lot of the clients that we work with anxiety problems dismiss the signals in their body. They're trying to hide them. They're trying to push them down. They're trying to get rid of them. They're trying to wish them away. They're trying to tell themselves, I shouldn't be feeling anxious in this situation. But the body's like, sorry, sorry, don't care about your rules. Body doesn't care about your rules and your beliefs. It's going to just keep responding until you trust it, and then together you can create that safety and that peace. Yeah, like if you're in an unsafe relationship, for example, your body is never going to stop giving you information about the aspects that are unsafe to you. It's never going to stop. It's going to keep doing its job until you go, all right, body, what do you need me to know? Tell me what I need to address so that I can create safety in my life and peace in my life. All right, lovely people. So I'm going to stop the recording here, okay? So that if we're going to chat, that won't be part of the recording.